Mayor Tory speaking to reporters at the opening of the skating rink at Union Station. We'll listen live.
We'll do whatever we have to do, and if that includes going door to door, but right now we're engaged still in discussions with the province about things they might do to soften or eliminate the blow from Bill 23. It's a devastating piece of legislation for cities around the country, including in particular Toronto, just because of our size. And I will stop at nothing to make sure that people understand that their cities that are already hard-pressed to carry out all the responsibilities they have are having money taken from their pockets and left in the pockets of developers, when in fact it is us who have to build the sewers and build the libraries and build the community centers and build the transit to make sure that when you have these buildings, which we all want that, but when you have these buildings, they need to have services and supports, and they have to be paid for.
Mississauga is against this as well. Do you think that there is enough of a public relations battle that you're winning it? Is there more that you and other municipalities could do to team up to make sure that the public is actually engaged with what's going on?
Well, we have been trying, and we are still trying with diplomacy and persuasion to say that it's not fair to have money taken out of the pockets of municipalities and effectively left with developers, with no guarantee, by the way, that housing will be built or that prices will drop. No guarantee of that. So we're trying to convince the government of that message and convince them if they think this is such a great policy, then they should be willing to make us whole for that. But if that isn't successful, I can assure you that there are many ways we have to engage the public, and that's exactly what we'll do.
And just one more. Do you think that there is still room to wiggle, even though they have passed this today?
I do, because I think anybody would recognize that it just doesn't make sense to take municipalities which are hard-pressed financially already, and to take municipalities that have responsibilities for building infrastructure like sewers and transit and libraries and so on, and to take money away from them with no guarantee that in return for that money being taken away that you get more housing. If the province thinks it's a good idea, then I don't even oppose it, but they should make the municipalities whole so that whatever it costs is money that's made up by the province in furtherance of their own policies.
And on youth violence, I know that you've just put out a statement. What more could the city do? Is this pressuring to get security back in schools, or where do you see this going?
We had an excellent discussion this morning, one of the first times involving the school board, the city, and the police service, and we've agreed, for example, to make sure that we have opportunities for people to come and take more advantage of the services that are offered, especially for kids and families. More exchange of information. Right now, the police, the city, and the school board often operate on their own. More cooperation between the governments on summer jobs, especially in the areas where we've seen some of this violence. And so I can just tell you that we're united. We're going to keep meeting. I've asked to have another meeting in a couple of weeks to update on progress, but we're very serious about making sure we take on violence, not just in schools, but in the community at large among young people.
Okay, so a couple questions about the Gardiner encampments. Fire. We just want to make sure, was it a vacant encampment? Do we know? Secondly, if it wasn't vacant, why wasn't it cleared? And we're wondering why there are explosive gases allowed to remain unmonitored near key Toronto infrastructure.
I think the key message here is, thank goodness no one was injured, but there were people there, and there were a number of propane tanks there, and that's why there was an explosion of the kind there was. And this is why we said all the way along that encampments are not only illegal, but they're unsafe and unhealthy. But we're making strenuous efforts. 55 people last week were moved to indoor housing, safe indoor housing, but you do it as you can, working with people, persuading them, offering different options to them. Our streets to homes people are very busy doing that every day, and will continue to be, but there are people in encampments, and some of them have propane there to cook and to heat, and that is very dangerous, and that's why the fire people are keeping an eye on this as best they can, but it's very hard for them to be, sort of everywhere all the time.
And whose responsibility is it at the end of the day to monitor and clear encampments? The city, police, is it fire?
Well, it's a combination. Our work as a city is mostly to persuade people, and we make thousands, literally thousands of visits to the encampments to persuade people who often need quite a bit of persuasion based on their circumstances or their own experience with homelessness to come inside to have some of the options that we have available for indoor housing. And we have been moving people every single week, all week. But in the end, it's a shared responsibility between the fire service, who have to look for fire safety, the police service, who have to look for the laws, including bylaw inspectors, and also the city itself, which makes probably the biggest effort through our streets to homes outreach workers who are there all the time, meeting with the people experiencing homelessness and trying to convince them to come inside.
Can I just ask you, it sounds like Allen Gardens, the encampment there, might be getting cleared. Is there a plan to actually make sure that those people are put indoors somewhere, or that they have a place that is safe, that has space for them?
We have literally made hundreds of visits.
Okay,
as
we're
a city
listening
to
live
streets,
as the
to
Toronto Mayor
homes,
John
outreach
Tory takes a
workers
few
over the
questions
last
at the
few
Union
weeks,
Station,
and
Union Station ice rink today, talking about his reaction to Bill 23 being passed, youth violence, and you just heard a potential about an encampment being cleared at Allen Gardens. We'll have more on this throughout the afternoon here on CP24.